Hello there guys, Francis Gray here and welcome to my YouTube channel Joke or Laugh, and in today's video we're going to be making some very festive Nightmare Before Christmas baubles. I'll see you after this. Okay guys, so first of all, welcome back. This is part 3, and in part 2 we went ahead and we finished off 6 of these baubles. Now you might have noticed that there's 4 extra spaces that are not there, so those are going to be in this video. So yes, so strap yourself in and let's crack on with the first build. Step 1. Lock, shock and barrel. Okay, so in order to start this build off, I'm going to go in with some natural grey from Model Colour, and this is a pre-made base that I 3D printed. So it's a little bit different to what we built in the other videos. I just wanted a little bit more of a variety, so I went with like a kind of weird, kind of tiled floor system. So yeah, so I'm just going to go in, so it's been base coated in black, I forgot to mention, so I'm going to go in with natural grey now and let's give it a good dry brush. And now I'm going to go in with a light grey from Model Colour, and then I'm just going to go in with a stipple brush, makeup brush, and I'm just going to add a tiny little bit on there, and then I'm just going to do some very light dry brushing just to give off a little bit of a highlight.
Soon after.
So in order to make the 3 characters of Lock, Shock and Barrel,
Lock, shock, barrel,
I went ahead and bought one of these, which is a Funkoverse Pop game expansion. I'm not too sure how you're actually supposed to play the game, but we don't really want it for the game, we want it for these 3 characters here. So let's open this up and have a quick look. Okay, not too sure what those are, but I'm pretty sure they'll come in useful for a future build. And a couple of little mini bases. Same again, I can see them coming in handy at some point. And some kind of tokens. And then some kind of card game. So we don't need any of that. Okay, so apparently these guys stack on top of each other's heads for some reason. Not too sure why there is, but obviously we don't need it for that. So all these little holes will need plugging back up. So now that we have our base, let's do a quick test just to see if these guys would all fit on together. Okay, it's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but I'm going to say yes. Yes, I can see that maybe working. So, yeah, so first things first, I'm going to use some Aves epoxy and I'm going to fill in these gaps at the top. Okay, so the witch doesn't seem to have a hole to connect to, so that's a nice little bonus. So yes, I'll go ahead and leave these 2 guys to fully dry, and then we can go ahead and cover over with some paint.
3 hours later.
So now that that is fully dry, I'm going to go in with some sick green from the game colour, and we're going to start by painting Barrel's hair, well, green. So now on to Shock, and unfortunately I didn't have the right colour for his hair, so I had to mix his colour, so we're going to have to go ahead and make sure that we get this right first time. So I'm going to give it a first cut first, hit with a hairdryer, and then second coat, again hairdryer, and then hopefully by the third coat we should have all areas covered and we don't have to worry about colour matching in the future.
5 hours later.
Okay, so we're going ahead and we've got these like little pegs underneath. Now, in hindsight, if I knew the exact measurements of these, I could have probably channeled a little hole for these guys to sit straight into. But I printed these off before I ordered these online, or before these turned up, should I say. So I'm just going to go in with some snippers and I'm just going to use some regular everyday super glue and I'm going to stick them in place. So thankfully they all did fit on the base. They are a little bit cramped, but they are all there. So we just need to go ahead and check it with the bauble now, and just to make sure that the witch's hat's not going to clash with the back of the bauble. And as you can see there, it's a nice fit. It worked out really nice. So yes, I'm over the moon with this.
3,000 whoop-whoos later.
So for the next part I'm just going to go in with general everyday black acrylic paint, and same again, a stipple makeup brush, and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to tidy up some of the edges where some of the dry brush had spilled over, I suppose. So just a nice little tidy up, and that should go a long way to making this look a lot more presentable. And now we're on to adding it into the Bauble black glue gun stick stage, if that made any sense. So yeah, so you've seen this in the past two videos. If you haven't seen the past two videos, this is you just jumped in straight at the end. That's totally fine. Basically just a black glue stick and a hot glue gun, and I'm going to put a small blob of it on the back of the Bauble, and then I'm going to make sure that it's situated upright, or as straight as I can possibly get it, into side A part of the Bauble. And then I haven't got long to work on this. I've only got a few seconds before the glue starts to harden. So yeah, just keeping it in place, making sure it's stuck nice and tight, and then once that's done, another blob of glue on the front part of the underside of the base, and then we can add part B Bauble, and then once A and B's together, we should have a nice display of Bauble.
No way!
So for the next stage we need to go ahead and we need to add the twine. Now, seeing as there's 3 different characters, I had a look and thankfully I had a twine with 3 colours in it. So red for the little devil guy, I think that's Lock, green for the witch, which is Shock, and white for the skeleton, which is Barrel. So this is perfect. Okay guys, so same as before, I'm just going to use my green mat as a measuring device. So just one length across, cut it out, feed it through the hole, twist it around, make a nice taut knot in one end, and then these should all be universally the same size. Okay, I like how these ones turned out. So let's see what we can do with Bauble number 2. Step 2. The Shadow of the Moon. So for the next build, I really want to incorporate the I'm the shadow at the moon at night, which is part of the intro song of the movie. So I started things off by going on thingiverse.com and I found this, which was originally uploaded by a user named Why So Frail. And what I ended up doing is, once I downloaded this, I then went into matter control on the PC and I ended up cutting off the edges so it was nice and circular, and then I added like a natural bevel shape, the exact same diameter, and then fused those together and then decided to go ahead and print off two. And then once printed and smoothed down, it was a trip into the shed, and then I decided to give it 2 or 3 coats of a nice white prime.
A little later.
Okay, so for some reason the white spray paint dried a little bit yellowish for some reason. I don't know if it's an old can or something. So I decided to spruce it up with some white from Game Colour, and then just basically getting into all the parts of the moon. So that's including like the eyes and the mouth, and then obviously in and around his hood, etc. Ah, damn it, why not just do the whole thing?
3 hours later.
So for the next part, I want to go ahead and I want to make this glow in the dark. So I'm going to go in with some of this stuff, which is glow in the dark poster paint. And for the next part, I'm going to go in with some bone white from Game Colour, and we're going to go ahead and start painting the shadow of the moon. And now I'm going to go in with more of that glow in the dark paint, but we're going to go ahead and coat the whole thing.
Soon after.
So now that we have both sides painted, for the next stage we need to go ahead and add these and glue these together. So the best thing to do that is just regular old standard super glue.
Moments later.
So I had to shave a little bit off the sides of this, which left the original green colour of the filament. So for the next stage I'm going to go in with a permanent black marker, and I'm just going to add a black highlight around the edge, just so we can hide that luminous green, and then that'll make it look a little bit more professional. So now that that's done, we can go in and we can add this into its bauble.
10 seconds later.
So this fits just snug, but in order to make sure it definitely keeps in place, I thought I'd best go over with just a very light hint of PVA glue, and then that should do 2 jobs. Keep this in place, and it'll also help secure the part B part of the bauble to the part A, so part A, B together, and we can go ahead and leave that to dry and all should be secure. So now that that's done, all that's left is to go ahead and add the string / twine. So in order to match the same colour scheme, I went with white and like a beigey brown colour. So that should complement this beautifully. So same again, just one length of the green mat, so these are all universally the same size. And then just feed it through the hole, double it on itself, tie a nice taut knot at the end, and then you have yourself a nice bauble.
Later, in the void.
Okay guys, so I know some of you will be interested in the glow in the dark feature, so let's go ahead and turn the lights off. Okay, so not as bright as the Oogie Boogie that we did, but after a good day's worth of charge, I can see this shining quite well. And also I didn't want it too bright because all these little little patterns kind of reminisces of the craters on the moon. So yeah, so happy little accident there. So yeah, happy with that. Okay, on to Bauble number 3. Step 3. Oogie Boogie. Okay, so I found this happy little fella on thingiverse.com, and it's another Oogie Boogie. Now I know what you're thinking, Frank, you've already made one of these in the last video. Yeah, that was the neon green version of Oogie Boogie, and we later on see that Oogie Boogie's also like in a different light. He's made of cloth. So I thought I'd go ahead and print off this guy, and he was originally uploaded by Body 3D, and I've decided to go ahead and print this guy off in filament.
6 hours later.
Okay, so here he is, all printed off. And I have to admit, at first glance, I am rather liking the look of him. So yeah, so I'm just going to go in with various tools, and I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up.
70 years later.
Okay, so here he is, a lot more cleaner now. So there is a lot of cleanup work I still need to do on this, but for the most part I'm happy with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill some like imperfections in with some wood filler, like on the back there, and then we can skip to the next part, which will be a black base coat.
Later that night.
So for the black base coat, I'm going to go ahead and mix some regular black acrylic with some PVA glue, mix it all together, and then this will work not only as a base coat paint, but with having the glue attached, it'll also give this a nice fixed surface, and it will also hide some of those imperfections and layer lines. So a very important step. And once that dried, I then went in with some medium acrylic brown, and I'm going to go in with a makeup stipple brush, and I'm going to go ahead and add a very light dry brush over the edge of this, and then that will bring out some much needed details.
Alright.
And once that dried, I then went in with some light brown for model air, and then I did the exact same step, but this time in some key part areas. So same again, just goes a long way to bringing out some much needed highlight details. And once more the exact same step, and even lighter, but this time with Bone White from Game Colour. Yep, that'll do nicely. So now that we've got Mr. Oogie Boogie looking a little bit more like, well, Oogie Boogie, for the next stage we need to go ahead and recreate a base for him to go inside the bauble. Now in the last video we made a different version of Oogie Boogie, which is the green neon glow in the dark version. And unfortunately I did make a base for him that is representative of the version of we see in the film where Santa lands on it and then Oogie Boogie spinning him around, etc. So I wanted to create that, and I did create that, but unfortunately I made it a little bit too big and it didn't fit into the bauble, so I had to take it all apart. So seeing as we do an Oogie Boogie again, but this time he's a smaller scale, I thought we could recreate and save this part that we made before. So yeah, so in theory he is going to go there. Now the underside bit and the oval base, I ended up using them on the other Oogie Boogie. So those aren't available. So I'd looked through my bit box and I did find this, and I'm not too sure what it's to. Could be anything, but I thought this part here I really like the look of. So I think that it's not perfectly screen accurate, but it's good enough for this. So yeah, so I could either use this end here or I could use the smaller end up here. I might end up using the smaller end maybe. I don't know. I suppose the bigger version does fit nicely. It's not screen accurately perfect, but I don't know, it'll do. So yeah, so this is a base to one of the others that I'm making, so I'll need to see if, or eyeball if all this can be fit into a bauble. Yeah, okay, that's it's a little bit sad, but yeah, I haven't really got any more room to play with. See if this can be closed up. Okay, so it will fit, but I have no room to model the underside, so it's pretty much, I think I've only got about that much space to model. So yeah, not great. I suppose I could maybe cut just this lip off here and see if that works, or am I overthinking it actually? Okay guys, that seems to fit a bit better. That seems to be a bit better. So yeah, so that's the way we're gonna have to go, which is just one of these. So yeah, seeing as we're doing them neon colours, I'm gonna go ahead and repaint this to look a little bit more vibrant. Okay, so after a lot of messing about, I ended up with this as a base, but the orange, or the translucent luminous orange, wasn't working for me. So I decided to go in with a purple colour shift titled Emerald Green Mauve. It's a hell of a name. And I just decided to go over and give this a couple of coats, and then that will make this like a nice shimmer effect, purple to green colour scheme, which will work a lot better than the translucent orange. And now that that's done, for the next stage I'm going to go in with a very fine detailing brush and some regular black acrylic, and we're going to go ahead and make an interesting yellow and black pattern underneath the main circular spiked base. So while we go ahead and leave the base to fully dry, for the next stage I'm going to go ahead and add two little white dice that we see Oogie Boogie throw in the movie, and with his arm being up in the air, it kind of looks like he's getting ready to throw something. So I thought dice would be the perfect option. So yeah, so this is just little bits of milliput that I just rolled out and then squished into a small little cube shaped, leave it to fully dry, and then ran each surface area over a little bit of sandpaper, and then same again, left it to dry, and then that goes a long way to making some cute little dice. So while we've got the super glue out, we might as well go ahead and super glue Mr. Oogie Boogie to that yellow base. So I have to get him as centre as possible, because if he's a little bit to the left or to the right, backwards or forwards, the top of his hood might clash with the circumference of the inside bauble, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so I'm just going to try and eyeball it and get it as centred as possible. So now that everything is nice and dry, for the next stage I'm going to go in with a cocktail stick and some black acrylic, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint some of the numbers on the dice.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
And now I'm going to go in with a detailing black pen, and I'm going to go ahead and get into the in-between parts of the seam lines on Oogie Boogie's cloth slash skin, I suppose. So yeah, so this is the best way to just get black nice and straight in that deep recess. And then once all that is done, we can then go in with some white acrylic and we can go ahead and add the stitching.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So now that part A and part B is finished, we can go ahead and add A and B together. So we can go ahead and leave it to fully dry, and after a couple of hours we can think about adding it inside the infamous bauble.
3 hours later.
Yay, infamous bauble time. So you know the drill by now. Black glue gun on the bottom, nice and squidgy, stick it in place, get it nice and straight, and then PVA glue around the edge and then squish the other edge, and then we have a nice bauble. And now we're on to the final stage, and once again I'm going to go in with the white and beige coloured twine, because obviously this is the cloth version of Oogie Boogie, not the green version, so I thought this would work a lot better. So yeah, same again, just one length of the green mat and then stick it through the hole, double on itself, nice taut knot, and then you have yourself a nice bauble. Okay, really happy with how this one turned out, so now on to the fourth bauble. Step 4. Jack's Skull. Okay, so once again, found this on thingiverse.com and it was uploaded by a user called Dan3D Maker, and it focuses on just basically a Christmas bauble of Jack's head. So I brought it into matter control. Now we don't need the oval part because obviously this is going to be encased inside a bauble. So what I ended up doing was cutting it off the top, and then I took it into Blender and I smoothed the top of the dome down so we didn't see any connection points. And then it was over into my slicing software, and in order to print this off I thought it would be easier if I printed it off by splitting this directly in half, and then we can lay the two halves on its side and then it can print upwards, so we don't have to worry about any pesky supports getting everywhere. And yeah, so now that we've got that all laid out, let's go ahead and print it.
Soon after.
Yep, that'll do nicely.
3,000 whoop-hoos later.
So a quick thing to add, I also went ahead and made a neck to go with Jack, just so it stands upright in the bauble. So that's been printed off as well, so let's get to the white prime stage. So for the next part I'm going to go in with some off-white from Game Colour, and then this will go a long way to giving it a bit more of a bony white rather than a static bright white.
5 minutes later.
So even though I have done a lot of sanding, you can still see that seam line running through his face, mainly on the top of his head there, running down, and then from the connecting to the back of the neck. So not ideal. It's not a game changer. It just a little gripe that I wouldn't mind trying to iron out now rather than adding details and then it annoys me later. So yeah, so for the next stage I'm going to go in with some UV resin, and I might mix some off-white with it, and then hopefully that'll really make this pop.
Pop. Pop, 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 pop.
Okay, so at this point I then realised that mixing acrylic paints directly with the resin doesn't work ideally brilliantly. Thankfully I didn't put too much paint in this, so it wasn't a total disaster. It did end up drying, but it did stay quite sticky for a good few days, longer than I thought it would have. So yeah, so if you are going to colour change it, I would say stick with powders or like grinded up chalk or something like that rather than paint itself. So yeah, I should have known better if I'm truthfully honest, but I just thought that this would have worked at the time, but in hindsight, yeah, it kind of didn't go quite according to plan.
4 to 6 days later.
So after spending a good 4 to 6 days of just constant in front of the windowsill, and then on a night a couple of hours in the UV chamber, finally the resin had hardened to the point that we could work with it again.
1 pair of pants later.
Okay, so after a good week's worth of curing, we can finally get back to the painting stage. So back in with a fine detail brush, some regular black acrylic. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to paint all of Jack's attributes. And now a little bit of touch up again with some off-white, just to tidy up some of the edges, and then we can get to the bauble stage. Okay guys, so same steps as before, so the only difference this time is I'm going in with clear translucent glue, because obviously the black would have showed up like a sore thumb. So yeah, so just going to sit in place and fast forward as usual. And yes, you guessed it, back onto the string/twine. So same again, black and white, because obviously it's Jack, those are his colours. 1 green mat's worth of length, cut off the end, you know the drill by now. 1 nice decent bauble. Okay guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. So, let's get to the overall thoughts. Okay guys, so here they are. 10 individual baubles, all based on characters from the cult classic Tim Burton film, The Nightmare Before Christmas. And each one of these has been a very unique build. Some of them went together beautifully and really easily. Some of them I could have thrown out the window. They were a pain in the butt. I'm still looking at you, Oogie Boogie. But all in all, I've really enjoyed working on these, and I am looking forward to giving these away as a Christmas present to a friend. So, if you've enjoyed this 3-part series, please hit that like button, share on Facebook and Twitter, because those new people find the YouTube channel, which I'm always appreciative. Thank you for any help. If you have any comments, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future builds. And if you want to be a really awesome viewer, please take 5 minutes to check out my Patreon page, where with your help we can do these videos full-time rather than part-time, which means a lot more videos and content for you and a lot more work for me. And if you've enjoyed these and you want to see more unique Christmas baubles, please let me know in the description below so I know to crack on and do some more for next Christmas or something, or Halloween maybe. And once again, I'm Francis Gray. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next build. Thank you very much.